what makes them different than perhaps a die. We're going to go over the tools that you need in order to successfully hot foil as well as stencil. So right here I have my Glimmer hot foil system. This is compatible with my Spellbinders Platinum. There are several hot foiling machines on the market. This one is the one that is compatible with my die cut machine, but there is one that is compatible with Gemini Junior, and several other companies have one that's compatible with their machine. I'm going to show you the difference between a die. So this has a wider edge. The pattern is a wider edge, as opposed to on this die where the cutting edge is very sharp and pointed. So that's kind of the difference between a die and a hot foil plate. We're going to be combining this with stencils today from Altenew, and I'm just showing you that they etch the number of the stencil in the top corner for you, so that helps you know what stencil goes with what section of your image. This is my Glimmer hot foil system. Like I said, this is compatible with my with my Spellbinders Platinum, and these are the foils that are compatible with the hot foil plates, the Glimmer hot foil plates. They are pretty on one side and kind of a matte, dull silver on the other. These foils need pressure and heat in order to transfer the foil. And these are the ones that are compatible with hot foil plates. There are tons and tons, every color under the rainbow for these particular hot foils. This is just a collection of what I have. And I have discovered that I gravitate toward more silver and golds more than anything. But I do have this problem of wanting all of the things, so this is just some of the ones that I have, and I do keep them stored in like stamp storage pockets. But that's the collection that I have. Now, these are the two that we're going to be using today. One is like an iridescent finish, and the other is a satin gold finish. I'm just showing you that I do indeed keep these in the same pockets that I store some of my smaller stamp sets. This here is a foil that works with toner. They look virtually identical to the ones that you use with your Glimmer hot foil system. The ones that are used with toner require a specific type of ink, I guess you could say, in order to adhere to. And then they usually require heat. They look almost identical. So when you're going out to purchase this, make sure you're getting the right one for the technique you're trying to do. If you're trying to do Glimmer hot foil, make sure you're getting something that says it is a hot foil foil. If you're trying to do something with a toner, then you need to make sure that you're getting the ones for that. Now, the toner ones can be used with these two types of gel. This transfer gel here on the left has been around for a very, very, very long time, but they recently, I say recently, probably the past couple years, they came out with this transfer gel duo, which means you can transfer that foil with or without heat. You just need pressure in order to transfer it. So you put this gel on there for the transfer gel duo, you put the gel on there, you let it dry, and then you can run it through your die cut machine and it will transfer the foil with just the pressure from your die cut machine. I have actually used the transfer gel. I have yet to use the transfer gel duo. I've had it forever and a day, still haven't used it yet. But when I do open those jars, I put a piece of press and seal on the top of it. That just keeps it from drying out. Pastes and gels like this have a tendency to dry out pretty quick, and so I put this on the top just to help it prevent it from drying out. Let's talk details about this this Glimmer hot foil system. So this is the platform itself. This base slips out of the dock. They're very clever. They have a little spot for the hot foil, or for the, excuse me, for the cord to wrap around to store so that it's not like a random cord just absolutely everywhere. There is a toggle switch at the back to turn the machine on. And then there are 3 lights to the left. One says that the power is on, the other one says that the platform is ready, and the other one is a timer button. This machine is very, very basic. the Gemini foil press has many more like features to it, but this one is very basic. So if you are finding that you don't necessarily want a whole bunch of options, I hate for that to sound bad, but like sometimes you can get overwhelmed when there are so many options, so many settings. And sometimes you just want to be able to plug and play, you know? And so this machine has worked very, very well for me. In all honesty, in all transparency, I have had the Gemini foil press and it died. I foiled 50 things, no joke, no exaggeration. I foiled 50 things and it died. The platform wouldn't heat up. It wouldn't even like, it would turn on, but it wouldn't do anything else. And so I was not impressed with that machine. And I had seen tons of people using this one, and I should have just gone with this one. Tons of crafters use it, and I should have just gone with this one. But I was trying to be different and thought that all the extra options would be super awesome. And I'm sure they would have been. But like I said, the machine died. So what you do when you turn it on, the red light will turn on to show that it has power. This gray part is what actually heats up. Here, this machine comes with these tweezers, these magnetic tweezers, because obviously this gray part gets hot and this plate gets hot. So these tweezers they came out with first, and they are super duper strong. These foil plates are kind of heavy. And so those tweezers pick up your hot foil plate and put it on this silicone mat that comes with the machine, so it acts like a cooling station. They recently came out with, again, I say recently, like past couple of years, maybe year, came out with this little button thing that matches the Gemini, or I keep saying Gemini, Glimmer foil press, hot foil system, matches it perfectly. So when you get your machine, you get either the tweezers or the little button thing. You get a spacer pad and a shim. These are the two plates that come with your machine. Now, as you can tell, mine are very dirty. That does not affect the function of these plates whatsoever. I accidentally misfoiled my stuff, and so I accidentally foiled my plates. Like I said, it does not affect how they function whatsoever. I have discovered with my Glimmer hot foil system that I need to have a paper shim. That just gives me better pressure, which helps me have better results. That is what I have discovered works best for me, but everybody's machine is different, and sometimes you just have to play. So if you see that green light that says platform ready is now green. It was dark and not on before. Now it's green. That means that the platform is heated up and it is ready for you to foil. Now, with big plates like this, I like to let it stay on there just a little bit longer. I have discovered that that works better for me. And so I let it sit there for a little bit longer once it turns green. Now, in order to properly foil, you have to have the pretty side of your foil kiss or touch the design side of your plate. Now let's talk paper. Not all paper is created equal. This is Hammermill cardstock, and it is what I use. I'm a believer and a convert. I use this paper for everything now. The only technique I do not use it for is Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers. That is the only technique I do not use it for, but I use it for absolutely everything else because I can foil with it and do all of my other techniques with it. And it is a fairly inexpensive cardstock. In fact, I bought a huge case of it, and I am set to go for a very, very long time. It is my new cardstock of choice because I can foil with it. So I don't have to have several different kinds of foil for all of the techniques and things that I might do. So again, you have your hot foil plate facing up on the gray side of the mat. You have your pretty side of your paper kiss the foil plate. You put your paper on top of that, and then you add your shims on top of that. I like to add my shims while it's all heating up That way, I just feel like it creates like an oven and I guess makes things more, I don't know, I just feel like I get better results. So I have now pressed the timer button, and that button is going to flash. When it turns solid green, you are ready to run this through your machine. And what you do is you pull the whole thing out. You remove that whole platform from the dock, and then you're going to run it through your die cut machine. I run it through, this is real time, like I have not sped this up. This is real time. I run it through forward and backward about 4 times, and I go slow. I go really painfully slow. I am kind of a speed crafter, which kind of creates problems for myself sometimes, but I run it forward and backward really, really slow. I just do. I feel like that gets me better results. And then I put it all back into the docking station. Notice how the platform is no longer ready. It has to heat up again. So because I'm going to do more foiling, I just go ahead and plug it back in. You remove your plates, and then you can pick up your paper. Now it is the best part. This is the peel and reveal. You can already kind of see the image of the design there, which is really, really cool. And then you have your pretty foiling. Isn't that awesome? It is such a beautiful, classy, timeless design. And one of the awesome things is that this almost leaves like a faux letterpress because it presses into the paper and it leaves a very faint, almost faux letterpress look. And it is just beautiful. I think weddings when I see hot foiling. That's just what I do. So keep this because we are going to use this again later. There is another plate that we can use to not waste any of that beautiful foil. In full disclosure, I had a craft fail. That iridescent foil did not foil well. I added extra shims. I let it stay on there extra time. It did not foil. So I moved on. Even I have troubles. This was the one that I put 2 shims in. It was better, but then I had more overfoiling. So I just decided to move on. Maybe that's just not one that I use with images like this. I have used this foil with sentiments and it foiled beautifully. Same cardstock, same process. It foiled beautifully with sentiments. So maybe that's just not a foil that I use with images. So here I switch gears and I use just a silver foil. And I'm going to do this same process all over again. The pretty side of the foil kisses the pretty side or the design side of the foil plate. Then I'm going to add my paper and I'm going to use the other opposite side of the craft fail one. And then I'm going to put my shims on top. I'm going to go ahead and press my timer button because my platform says it's ready. That green light is on. We're going to remove the whole thing from the docking station and run it through our platform, our Spellbinders Platinum. And again, I run it through really slow, forward and backward, at least twice, just to make sure that I can get some good adhesion on that foil. Again, this is not sped up. This is literally how slow I go. And then I'm going to do some more foiling. So again, I stick the whole thing back in the dock and let it start heating up again. And isn't this beautiful? I think this is absolutely beautiful. So I do have just a little bit of overfoiling, but look at that shine. Isn't that just gorgeous? Ah, love it. So there's a little bit of overfoiling on the wings, a little bit in between the stems, and a little bit off to the side. I'm not going to stress about that. I'm going to show you how to get rid of that. And in fact, I'm probably going to cut this down. I do end up cutting this down. So those things are not going to be a problem. Now, in order to remove it, I take those tweezers because this is ridiculously hot. I take those tweezers and I pick up those hot foil plates. You could have used this little gun too, but I quite often forget that I have that. So those tweezers are pretty fantastic. This is a solid hot foil plate from Pink Fresh Studio. The Gemini foil press has a plate too that you're supposed to be able to accomplish the same thing. It does not work nearly as well as this one does. This one is a rock star. So because this is so big, because it is a completely solid surface, I leave this on the platform forever. I let it heat up for a long time, long past when that platform says it's ready, just because it is such a solid plate. But what we're going to do is we're going to do the same process as before, but we're going to take these pieces, these negative pieces essentially, and we are going to not waste any of it. So I'm going to make sure that, again, the design side of this hot foil plate is kissing the pretty side of the foil. And I'm going to make sure that all of that foil, at least the pattern side that I want, is actually touching that plate. And then I'm going to put my paper on top, put all my shims on top. And because this is such a thick piece, I actually add 2 shims because I want to make sure that I have excellent pressure. I feel like if you add 3 shims, you're really pushing it on how much paper you can actually roll through your Spellbinders Platinum. But that may just be my machine. Again, all machines are a little bit different than the other. And it turned green and I had let it sit on there forever and a day. And I am running it through forward and backward at least twice, really slow, just so you can see the process of this. And then you're going to have, again, this awesome peel and reveal. And it is absolutely beautiful. Watch this. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? And it doesn't do it justice on camera. It really doesn't. Now, I regret using a messed up foil piece because you can kind of see the shadow of it on this part. And I kind of regret using that because it kind of distracted from this beautiful foiling. But as you see, it takes all of that foil off and all you're left is with that clear carrier sheet. And it is just beautiful. And it makes me feel like I'm getting like the most bang for my buck from my supplies. I am not using these pieces in the video today, but I will save them in my drawer for a future project. But we're going to repeat this process all over again. And this is the peel and reveal for the gold. I think the gold is my favorite. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? And like I said, you don't get this kind of shine. I mean, it's a different kind of shine than like heat embossing or this looks like really expensive paper, like custom stationery. I just think it's absolutely beautiful and I love it. Now, if you remember, I was going to show you how to get this overfoiling off. So there are a few things you can use. This is a sanding eraser. This is from a mono sanding eraser. The gray end has little bits of sand in it, and the other end is just a white eraser. And I have, a white eraser that you would get from like the office supply store in my left hand. And all you do is very gently rub it over the surface and it removes it. And I'm using the sanding one, but you can use, and I will use the white eraser when I go to do the hummingbird's wings. I don't, because it's kind of overfoiled inside of it. And so inside of the wings. So if I use the white eraser that I'm using here, that doesn't scratch the foiling finish, but it still removes the overfoiling in the middle. And look, it's like gone. You never knew it was there. Isn't that awesome? And in fact, full disclosure, that is the best removal of ink or foil I've ever had. Sometimes I feel like I can still see it a little bit. That's the best it's ever removed. So we're going to move on to the stenciling. These are the stencil brushes that I purchased off of Amazon. They came in their sweet little carrier, which I love the teal, big fan. And I have a whole bunch of mini ink cubes here. All Altenew packaging is fantastic because it comes with guides, shows you what stencils what portion of the flower and what it looks like when you're done, and gives you suggestions for color palettes and gives you what that image looks like when it's done, which is very, very helpful for me. I'm a very visual learner, and so having these kind of things is very helpful for me. So this is a foil and stencil combo. There is no die for this as far as I know. If there was, I would have purchased it, but I don't think that there is, which is fine. I have inks here from 3 different companies, 4. I have Concord and Ninth, I have Catherine Pooler, I have Altenew, and Gina K. Now this stencil is a little bit different than the stencil that we used from Pink Fresh Studio in my last video. This stencil, different portions of the flower are in different spots on each stencil. Now the stencil from Pink Fresh Studio, that stencil, it was all one piece and you just flipped it over. You didn't have to move the stencil around in order to ink up different sections of the image. This one you do. You have to pick up the stencil and move it around, which is not a big deal. And in fact, gives you a little bit more, sorry, my head's going to get in the way a lot in this section of the video, just because I'm trying to line things up well. But in this video, with this stencil, it would be easier to get more color variation because it's not all combined. I'm still using my mini ink blending brushes, but you wouldn't necessarily have to, because it is like spread apart. I hope that makes sense what I'm saying here. So here I'm going to go ahead and start inking up. Now, to make my life easier, I go on Pinterest and I look up color palettes because I get in the rut of all flowers are pinks and reds and all greenery is green. And that is just not, A, that is not nature, and B, it's my card and I can do what I want. So I go on Pinterest and I pick out a color palette, and that's what I did here. So I picked out, okay, I want the greenery this color, and then I want this flower to be this color, and I write that down on a piece of paper. And I go through my inks and I find colors that match. And that is how I pick my color combinations, and that is how I make stenciling go much faster for me, is by kind of planning that out and color mapping where I want things to go. That just makes things so much faster for me. Other people may not have that kind of problem, but this is just what makes it easier for me. I'm going to go through and I'm going to stencil each and every one of these flowers and all of this greenery, and I picked colors. This one is perhaps, I guess you could say, a more springy or summery color palette. The next color palette is going to be a little more fall-ish, fall-esque, if you will. And I'm going to really speed up this stenciling because I really wanted the focus of this video to be more on the hot foiling. We've done a previous video on stenciling, so if you want more details about that, I encourage you to go check that out. Again, this is just how I clean my stencils. I take this flour sack cloth and I spray some stamp cleaner on top of them, and then I rub them. I rub front and back, and that just gets them all clean, and they are good to go for next time. This is the more fall-themed color palette that I chose. Again, I went to Pinterest, found a color palette that I thought was really pretty, and color mapped all of my colors where I wanted them to go and where. And that is that sheet that you see to my right. That just helps me, again, make things a little faster for myself. And again, we're just going to really speed through this one because we've seen all of the stenciling before. So this one, I felt like there wasn't enough variance in color. And so I was brave and maybe messed it up a little bit, but I just took that ink and the blending brush without the stencil and tried to deepen and darken that cone part of that daffodil flower. And then I went back into that bloom off to the left and tried to darken up that center. I wish I would not have done that to this one, or been a little more careful, because I feel like it just looks like there's a big blob in the middle. But here are our two finished stenciled and foiled panels. I love that shine, and that shine, that foil resists the ink. So you don't have to worry about marring the finish of your foil, because that foil is a slick reflective surface and it will repel the ink. The one on the left is the one that we did in kind of more fall colors. So I am going to cut these down. I am using a die set from Waffle Flower, and I'm going to cut these down. I wasn't sure how I was going to use these, but I wanted to cut them down and put them on a card. I was initially going to do an A2 size card, but that was too small for me to be able to get everything. Then I was going to do a 5x7 card, but that just looked awkward. So this card ends up being about 5.5 inches wide and about 6 3/4 inches tall. Something along those lines. And then to finish the card, I put on some enamel dots that I had. On the fall one, I did more of like a gold toned one. And then on the springy, summery one, I did more that were like a pink color to play off of some of those bellflowers that I used. These are foiled sentiments from my stash. I just foiled a bunch of them at one time, long time ago, kept them in a drawer, and pulled them out for this card. This foil is actually like a copper foil, and it works really well with these fall themed colors. I popped those up on foam tape, and I paired them with coordinating envelopes. And that is the card for today. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you learned something. I hope you were inspired. If you were, I hope you would please click that bell icon and hit subscribe so that you can be notified each and every time I upload a video. I hope you have a blessed day, and we will catch you next time.